An SEO manager told us recently they'd been handed a project. Scale an entire casino site with AI content. Top lists, slot reviews, 3,000 word pages, all machine generated at volume. They felt the pressure, didn't push back at the time, and now, as the scope grows, they're quietly worried about whether it holds up. Here's the honest answer we gave, and it's the reason for this video. It won't work. It'll make a good case study, but for everyone else, the traffic drops a few months after launch. The one reassuring detail is that it's a new site, not an established one with traffic to lose. But notice the precise reason it fails, because most people get this wrong. Google does not penalize AI content. It has said so plainly and consistently. The focus is on the quality of the content, not how it was produced. What Google penalizes is scaled content abuse, generating many pages primarily to manipulate rankings, producing large amounts of unoriginal content that provides little to no value, no matter how it's created. That last phrase matters. Human-written thin content fails the same test, and this isn't theoretical. The March 2026 core update named scaled content abuse as a primary target. Analyses of that update found sites publishing hundreds of AI pages. No editorial review, no first-hand experience, near identical structure, taking traffic drops of 50 to 80%. The pattern was consistent. Sites publishing 1,000 or more unedited AI articles lost 40 to 90% of their traffic, while sites publishing 50 to 100 quality, human-edited AI articles saw increases. The difference was quality control, not AI usage. So the casino project isn't doomed because it uses AI. It's doomed because it's 3,000 words of commodity content, multiplied across hundreds of pages, that tells Google nothing it can't already find. The tool is fine. The strategy is the problem. The strategy that actually works is the opposite of more pages. It's topical authority. So let's build it properly. Before a single page, one question: what are you actually selling? That's your source context, and everything anchors to it. If you sell snowboarding gear, your context is the whole world of snowboarding: the boards, the boots, the safety kit, the technique. If you sell one product, the context is tighter. Get this wrong, and every later decision drifts. Source context is the anchor you return to whenever you're unsure whether a piece of content belongs. If it doesn't serve what you sell, it probably doesn't belong. Hold that thought. It comes back. Here's the idea most SEOs have never studied, and it quietly solves most of the problem. Google doesn't hold one giant index. It splits its attention into many small sub-indices, narrow slices built around a specific entity, an entity and attribute pair, or a template like how to. Think of it as Google deciding which questions are worth paying attention to in your space. The move is to compete only where those slices actually exist, where there's genuine demand and Google is paying attention, and not waste effort on a slice that exists only in your own head. Studying how these indices are built is the single highest leverage skill in content strategy. Get it right, and you've solved most of the ranking problem before you've written a word. This is where the casino project went wrong, twice over. Mass AI pages don't map to real sub-indices. They spray content across slices Google isn't attending to and dilute the ones it is. Now the practical part. Pull your competitors' sitemaps, including the ones you think are only loosely related. Read their title tags. Map which entities they cover, how deeply, and how often they refresh. Two things fall out of this. Where everyone refreshes constantly, expect real commercial competition. And, more useful, where they've all missed the same entities, you found your opening. Here's the edge most campaigns lack: genuine subject expertise. An SEO, working from keyword tools alone, will follow the queries and follow the competitors, and miss the important entities that never showed up as a neat keyword. A real expert in the niche knows those exist. That's why domain expertise beats tool output. It fills the gaps the tools can't see. Now the payoff, and it's counterintuitive if you've been trained to chase keywords. You'll often find competitors who open 5 separate pages for what is essentially one object. That's a mistake you can win from. Compress it. One dense, complete page that covers the whole thing is easier for Google to process, crawl, and trust than 5 thin ones it has to maintain separately. Picture explaining a car. The engine, the suspension, the wheels, the seats. Every part is a dot, and the explanation is complete only when you've covered the dots and connected them. One page that connects them all demonstrates understanding. 5 fragments demonstrate the opposite. This one principle, compress, don't spread, resolves a huge share of content structure problems. And it's the exact inverse of the casino strategy. They're spreading. The win is in compressing. So, if density wins, can you write about anything adjacent? No, and this is where judgment comes in. Topical radius is how far from your core you can go before you start hurting yourself. The test is the number of logical steps between your core and the thing you want to cover. If you sell cars and you want to write about bananas, you'd need a long chain of unrelated links to connect them. That distance is the warning. It's off topic and it dilutes you. But adjacency that explains your core is the opposite of dilution. It's proof of expertise. A music equipment site writing about how sound waves and air movement work isn't drifting. It's showing it understands why a microphone captures voice the way it does. Those domains are intertwined. Covering them makes the expertise legible. The quick check is the one from the start. Return to your source context. If it doesn't help explain what you sell, it's probably too far. Why does any of this convince Google? Think of it as vetting a mechanic. You ask 100 questions, and if they can't tell diesel from petrol or explain the common faults on your model, you don't trust them. The overalls don't matter. Google evaluates a site the same way. When you can explain everything in your domain in granular, connected detail, that reads as genuine expertise. And expertise is what earns trust, and trust is what earns traffic. Depth isn't decoration, it's the signal. A topical map isn't static. 2 rules. First, while you're actively building it, finish it. Don't keep recutting it mid-execution. But when a core or helpful update lands, and you can see the important sub-indices have shifted, you're now executing against an outdated structure. That's the moment to refresh, because Google's picture of the world has moved, and yours needs to follow. Second, refresh content on a cadence regardless, at least every 6 months. By then, you'll have enough Search Console data to see where you landed in those indices and where you missed, and enough feel for the niche to stay ahead of it. Trend-driven topics move faster. You can update those in a day. Last idea, and it's the one that ties the whole thing together. Keyword volume is not search demand. When a tool says a term gets 1,000 searches a month, that's a rough approximation, not a promise that 1,000 real people will search it. Behavior shifts with trends, seasons, the news, the economy. Real people are behind every query, and they don't behave like a spreadsheet. Which is why some experts write for 0-volume queries and still win. If you genuinely know your customers, if the same question walks into the room every week, even though no tool records it, that question is real demand the tool simply can't see. Write the definitive answer once and point people to it. That's expertise, closing a gap. So, back to that casino project. The problem was never the AI, it was the strategy. Volume over value, spread over depth, keyword chasing over real understanding of what the audience needs. Topical authority is the durable alternative. Source context, honest index construction, compression, disciplined radius, and genuine expertise Google can read. That's the work we do under keyword-driven content strategy. The topical maps, the briefs, the architecture that ranks and holds. Thank you for watching. If this was useful, follow GrowifyLabs. We publish new videos several times a week, and this is the kind of thing we go deep on. And tell us in the comments where you land on this. The 0-volume keyword question especially tends to divide people, and we read every reply. If you want us to look at your own topical map or content architecture, the details are below.